Today I am celebrating a very special friend of mine, someone I'm very lucky to know. A man called Paul Johnson, who I've always known as Flute Paul. Many other people will know him as Paul Flute, which unfortunately over time has become insufficient as a name to describe him because he plays so many instruments. In fact, the flute wasn't even his first instrument, as I understand it. He began with the piano, but his studio is and a, a library, a collection of beautiful instruments from all over the world, and he's just as at home playing percussion as he is violin, flutes, bagpipes, keyboard instruments. There's almost nothing that he can't pull an absolutely exquisite sound out of. And he's also one of those frustrating people who then suddenly creates an absolutely astounding piece of poetry or writes a wonderful essay on a subject, or, he never ceases to surprise me. He's spent years working in all kinds of performances, playing at Cayley's. He used to work for Shakespeare's Globe, playing unusual medieval instruments in the orchestration of their performances. But he's spent many years sitting in ceremony and working with settings of meditation, and he himself is a real kind of go-to reference for me in my life when it comes to meditation. He has spent so many years, I am sure, cumulatively, sitting cross-legged, doing what exactly I don't know. It's still a mystery to me. I know that for many years he was a Vipassana meditator. But, beyond his... I want to honour him today, and it's interesting thinking about him eventually watching this. I'm sure he's going to be deeply uncomfortable with being venerated in this way, but I'm going to explain why. In the course of making these 365 festivals, this genius tree that I see, people and objects and places and times that express what I understand to be genius. Genius is that unique style and talent, this special power that is imbued to everyone if we only are able to identify it and bring it to the world. And he is someone who has so few barriers to entry in his mind. There's nothing that tells him that he cannot do it, or at least in certain realms of his life when it comes to writing or designing or speaking forthrightly on all manner of subjects, speaking his truth clearly and precisely. But certainly in the realm of playing instruments, it's an instrument, I can play that, why not? Let's see what I can do with it. He's never had that kind of limiting belief that, this isn't for me, no, I can't do it. Yet he's also quite well aware of his own boundaries. But it's funny, beyond his genius for playing music, his own unique style and talent in that realm, he's also educated me on all sorts of different subjects, from food and nutrition to exercise. He brought himself back from an almost debilitating illness, suffering many years where he barely had the energy to get up and get out. And then some years later, he was surprising me by going out running on an almost daily basis. And, he's kind of reinvented himself so many times. And that's a great inspiration to me. He's someone who's never stopped growing and continues to. But I suppose where personally I have found his genius being expressed is his capacity for listening. And obviously that's at the core of every good musician. If you cannot listen, you cannot play. But his ability to listen to another person and really empathize, really understand what's going on for them, to be able to reflect back, sometimes with great humour. He is a Liverpudlian in origin, and he's never lost that cutting sense of humour that sometimes I imagine must feel pretty abrupt in some of the circles he frequents. But it's always felt absolutely right with me. So today I'm celebrating Paul Johnson. Now, it's a slight departure from where I'm normally venerating and honouring people whose genius has already been brought to the world and is already manifest in books and people are familiar with them. But Paul is one of those people who is still, like me, pretty much unknown, and yet his work is so incredible. It absolutely astounds me that outside of some very small, very particular fields, he's not better known. And he, like me, is now branching out and has products available for people to buy. I listened to one of his new albums that is just being released at the moment, only the other day, and it's an absolutely exquisite journey in which he plays goodness knows how many instruments and creates this incredible soundscape, a beautiful journey for I imagine for people that run ceremonies and need musical backdrops. It would be absolutely perfect. I believe the work began as a soundtrack for a ceremonial piece that he was working on with another artist. He also has got a piano album coming out and released some poetry work not so long ago. So if you investigate Paul Johnson, Paul Flute, you will find websites and things out there on the internet. I'll try and put some links in this description. So I'm very happy to be able to honour the genius of someone I know personally and recommend you investigate them and check them out. So today, a moment for Paul Johnson.